evening, and welcome to This Week in Joe's Basement. I'm Joe. And this is my basement. So, This Week in Joe's Basement, we begin the show, as it's our custom, with stimulus from the real world. First of all, the New City, in their issue of March 21st, wrote an article about us, written by my buddy Matt Farr. Article which he appropriately enough entitles Underground TV. Nice little pun there. And he features prominently several striking moments from the show. And he begins his article as follows. When you first see This Week in Joe's Basement, you think of Wayne's World from Saturday Night Live. Then you say, no, this is more like that guy on Letterman, Chris Elliott, who does all that stupid stuff that's supposed to be funny. But if you watch it, you'll realize that some of the things being presented here are dead serious, and what Joe Winston and his cohorts are doing is airing the stories too delicate and too distasteful for the 6 o'clock news, in their own idiosyncratic and sometimes idiotic way. These are interspersed with strange bits of song and video schlock, which are either annoying or approach art. One particularly eerie moment came when John Herman, upside down with his voice slowed down, told about meeting a policeman in a professor's office. It's pure video poetry. However, The Mole, an upside-down close-up of Paul Pomerleau's bearded face with some paper eyes stuck on, is pretty much a lame gross-out.
Lame? Lame? I'm not lame. How can you say I'm lame? I'm not lame. I'm intelligent. I'm witty. I'm charming. I'm video schlock at its best. I'm television for the 90s. What are you talking about? Lame? I'm gross. Gross! Gross! I'm not gross! I'm not gross! Nobody can call me gross! I'm not gross! How can you call me?
This Week in Joe's Basement takes a little getting used to, and the episodes vary widely, but the show is worth watching simply because it dares to be thoughtful as well as weird. Some good thoughts from our friends at the New City. Chicago's other free weekly leftist rag. All right, so we got some mail this week. First off, our friend Him has written us his bi-weekly letter. Starts off complaining. He says, he claims that my mind hasn't been on the show recently because I've been concentrating on what he calls bimbos at shopping center, garbage stolen from some Ivy League Film Zero, and reruns. So that he feels that Burt Reynolds made better movies when he was 10, and et cetera, and he's all pissed off. You know, I really don't appreciate being called an Ivy League Zero, but I suppose everyone is entitled to his own opinion, even if he won't give his name and attach it to his opinion. All right, well, so he writes us another letter here, and he says, after watching episode 27, This Week in Mark's Basement, he says, Joe, trying to be encouraging, the kindest description of Mark I can think of is interesting newcomer. Interesting newcomer. Well, Him, if you think that Mark Audrin is an interesting newcomer to Joe's Basement, then you must have missed episodes 5, 6, 7, 11, 13, 17, 19, 20, 23, 24, and 26. Outside of those appearances, Mark Audrin was indeed a newcomer to Joe's Basement in episode 27, Mark's Basement, where he hosted the show. Because I lost a bet to him. Bastard, he cheated. That is an accomplishment for someone of French ancestry, whose last name seems to mean from the sewer. But, being in showbiz now, he can change his name at will. The big Spanish boyfriend in the skit was hilarious. Are you getting better actors, or is he just like that, no matter? All right, Him has expressed confusion about Juan Luco's appearance in episode 27, Mark's Basement. According to him, Juan has made the rather remarkable transformation from what Him described as the Puerto Rican with the hair problem in episode 24, to the big Spanish boyfriend in episode 27, with several stages in between. And Him is wondering whether Juan is acting, or whether he's just like that naturally and doesn't take any work. Him expressed similar confusion when Kate Olsen's image appeared on a television set in a sketch called Video Dating in episode 23. Him complained that not only did Kate have clothes on, but that we weren't revealing the real her, or was she really just like that? Him, these are actors. They act. They take on various guises to amuse us. That is what they do. That is what we do when we make television. Don't you think you need more ongoing things on your show? About the only thing you have going is reading letters each week. That makes it seem as though King, how does he break out to get to a mailbox, Zeke, and I are your only fans with small motor skills. You need some other continuing things to keep that huge silent majority of fans coming back for more. Naturally, I'm in favor of the Banana Girl doing a new weird thing each week, but I am sure you can think of a better idea. Sorry, I missed her name when I fell out of my chair, H. All right. More expert advice from our old friend him. Okay, we got another letter here. Someone who hasn't written us before. Commenting on Episode 9, Sledgehammer Diplomacy, which rerun when Episode 27 was stolen out of my car and I had to pay $100 to get it back. Dear Joe, we thoroughly enjoyed our first experience with your show this evening. You should be commended on your choice of topic as well as a balanced presentation of responses. My girlfriend and I were particularly impressed with the thorough articulation of the mulatto student. This person is referring to Sean Nixon, who is one of the ongoing spokesmen in Episode 9, which was our treatment of race relations, where we asked black people and white people what they thought of each other. You probably could have devoted an entire show to his views. We feel that he cut straight to the quick of many issues and crystallized many sub-issues as well. Sub-issues. Whatever his name may be, it should be followed by For City Council. We hope that future shows of yours are equally as compelling. Thank you for a piece of real TV. Sincerely, Scott Miller, Kathy Murphy. All right. And thank you. We'll do our best to be compelling, just for you. Okay. I got also another item here. It's a headshot of a woman named Anastasia Christine, who is a singer somewhere at some lounge. She says, "Hi, Joe, just caught your show. Very interesting. Thought you might like to catch my show. Now keep it clean, Joe." And she tells me where she's singing, and I really don't know what sort of cleanliness she has in mind because I haven't seen her show yet. Okay, so we got a letter here from Squirmin Herman at 21 Lower Goose Island Way, Goose Island, 60005925 AP. It's in large handwriting, which obviously indicates an older person writing this. And looks like King Bee stationery to me. And Squirmin Herman, who, as experienced viewers of this show know, is the father of King Zeke, writes as follows. Dear Joe, hi, my name is Squirmin Herman Billingsley, and my son, Donald, King Zeke, begged me to write you on his behalf. Am I being too harsh on Donald by undergrounding him for a period of human time 2 weeks plus 4 extra on our planet, Zarkum Frolinger? Oh, on our planet, Zarkum Frolinger, he'd be expelled from school for 2 years, Earth time, for quasi-glue on a said teacher's seat. What would you do, Joe? And on the top of the letter, he explains the use of the stationery. He says, King Zeke's paper, I'd use scripture. I guess he'd write in the margins or something. He continues, it's so hard for me to be both a preacher, Reverend, and a father to the delinquent Donald. My apostles, my other son, Hal the Looper, does crack, Joe. What does a father do? Sincerely, Squirmin Herman. All right. Well, for the first time in its history, this week in Joe's basement has been caught in the middle of a family squabble, and an interplanetary one at that. And frankly, I'm out of my depth. I just really don't know what to do. See, we've been following the King Zeke saga for a long time now, ever since he first wrote us in episode 22.
Hello, and welcome to the second in our series of science lectures here on Joe's Basement. This week, we look into the personality of the elusive King Zeke. Just what do we know of this King Zeke? Well, we know he comes from the planet Zarkum Frolinger. He's the son of the Reverend Squirmin Herman Billingsley, attends the Bad Boys School in Lower Goose Island, has a pet dog, Hojacker, and a drug-using brother, Hal the Looper. Using the evidence at hand, let us now visit with our panel of distinguished experts.
Jim, what kind of person do you think wrote these letters based on your expertise as a psychologist?
Well, Joe, I think that these letters, first of all, were not written by a child. and I have a few reasons for thinking that. First of all, if you look at this envelope that this one came in, it's very creative. It's got 3 kinds of stamps on it: the American flag stamp, the love stamp, and an owl stamp. And then it's very cute. It says speed it up 3 times as fast. But I don't think most kids have access to 3 kinds of stamps, at least not the kids that live in my house. Don't,
Okay.
for damn sure. Now, in addition, another reason I don't think this is written by a child is that the spelling errors that are made are not the kinds of errors that a child would actually make. In fact, they're the kind that most people might stereotypically think a child would make, but not the kinds that an actual child would make. So, for example, hi, Joe the Gweat, G-W-E-A-T, okay?
Right.
I mean, Gweat and is the kind of thing that an adult might think a child would say, or a child might make this kind of error. But in fact, in literally thousands of psycholinguistic studies of children's spelling, we very rarely see G-W-E-A-T as a spelling. And on and on. There are several other kinds of examples like that.
I tested these earlier to see if they were authentic or if this was a joke with the divining crystal, and apparently it is not a joke.
Okay.
The people are very sincere. They like your show a great deal.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no way that I could believe that they're living under a bridge or that they're from some other planet, wherever they're saying they're from.
All right, so let's see the beginning here. King Zeke. The following on his trademark King Zeke special stationery. He instructs me to start here at human letter 2 on the upper left. He writes, "Hi, Joe the Gweat. Your show made all of us Lower Goose Island inhabitants go crazy. We will be having an underground festival in your honor. You show is the only real thing on human television. We have a few shows like yours shown on our planet Zarkum Frolinger." So what do you make of his claims that he lives on planet Zarkum Frolinger?
And that it's rubbish. There's no such thing as Planet Zarkum Frolinger. I mean, I took a very interesting course once, actually, in the solar system, and there's nothing like that. Really.
Zarkum Frolinger, right, yeah. Now, the only problem that we might have is if we have to return it, you know, because he don't have a return zip code on here. I see it's also from the Institute for Psychoanalysis.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, so perhaps we can send it to them and they can forward it to him.
Let us look now at one of his letters. Notice the stationery is topped with the characteristic King Bee crown. Indeed, he makes frequent references to this King Bee. Interestingly enough, there is no King Bee. Rather, in the hive, we find a single queen bee responsible for laying the eggs, several drones which fertilize the eggs, and worker bees who build and maintain the hive. Therefore, it is safe to assume that King Zeke is comprised of an abdomen, thorax, forward head region, from which protrude mandibles and antennae.
My stupid pop, Squirmin Herman, won't let me tell you what a chronometer equals. He undergrounded me for a week, 'cause I got in big trouble in the Lower Goose Island bad boys school. All I did was get our dumb geek teacher Arthur Hosewinkler the Stinker fired again. I, King Zeke, probably put quasi glue on his empty seat. Us kids be happy and quacked up, but my pop, Squirmin Herman, undergrounded me now. Tell Herman to ease his stance, plural, on me, Basement Joe. Please, I plead. I get bit by too many rats in my underground punishment chamber. Herman will listen to you.
This is Squirmin Herman. And he wants to know if we have been too harsh on Donald for undergrounding him for a period of human time of 2 weeks. Yeah, I think that's a bit harsh, though.
I think 2 weeks is a good amount of time for a parent to underground his kid.
Yeah, that seems to be, for most of the offenses within the discipline code, a maximum suspension is 10 school days, which would be two weeks. If he's got a record of doing pranks and vindictive things, then you might hit him a little bit heavier than you would a first-time offender, especially if the kid has a good record otherwise.
I'd like to find out then whether Squirmin Herman will in fact punish him by putting him underground for 2 weeks.
Okay, then I'll ask the crystal. Is Squirmin Herman going to put King Zeke locked up underground for 2 weeks? This is interesting. It's moving affirmatively. Yes, it's answering yes that he is going to do this. Now, I don't know where this is going to be done or how. I hope he feeds him while he's locking him up.
Yes, I'm afraid I do. As a matter... So, in conclusion, we will now consult our panel of experts and have them summarize their findings.
This is a sick person, Joe.
It is.
Yeah, this is a sick person.
You're a psychologist, though. Sick in what way?
Yeah, no, this person needs to immediately get in for therapy, and I hope that they're watching the show. I mean, this is the reason I agreed to go on this show, is that I hope they will go to a hospital and try to get some help.
Can you put a finger on, you think, what his problem is?
Could be a split personality, could be just a compulsion to mimic a split personality.
I think basically this weird Zeke, or Captain Zeke, or King Zeke, or whoever he is basically someone that's just like everybody else out here. You know, he's just putting his feelings and thoughts down in words. I don't know, I think it's a few King Zekes working where I work at.
Zeke, I'm picturing with like a wavy or a curly brown hair. Longish, not real long. Possible small beard or just stubble on the face.
Mm-hmm. And you said he's a white person.
Yes.
Did these letters, the way they feel, remind you of anyone you've ever known or any type of person you've ever known?
No. No, I've never come across this exact energy.
Well, that settles that. Got another package here from WJJD and WJMK. And we have a letter. Note from Jay Houston, who's a sidekick of King B, who we met last week. And he offers me this rather interesting historical artifact, which may be of some use to archaeologists later trying to determine something about American culture. And in the lower portion of it is a plug for his radio station. All right, so, you know, I noticed there's been a lot of talk about guns and shooting things lately. You know, this whole Persian Gulf shooting things thing and people shooting things in the street. So I've developed this curiosity about what it's like to shoot things. So I thought I'd find out this week in Joe's basement. Hi. All right. So hurry, I'm at a shooting range and I'm going to learn how to shoot. So, you know, I have a lot of friends who like to shoot. They like guns, but I've always been kind of frightened of them. I don't quite understand what people see in them. I mean, guns kill people, right? I mean, guns and people together kill other people. And so I've always been kind of like, you know? Because they're not like on TV. I mean, these are real. But these guys tell me it's a lot of fun, and they make it sound like a lot of fun. And I always like, you know, pellet guns and things like that. So I figure that the real thing's got to be even better. I mean, you can shoot, take out your hostilities on foreign dignitaries. I mean, where else can you do that, right? So I figure it must have some merit. So I'm going to learn how to shoot and see what this is all about and really understand all this. Hey, Mark.
Mm-hmm.
Teach me how to shoot, please.
Sure. Okay.
All right.
You'll need one of these.
Thanks.
We're going to go in there.
All right.
Ready? Let's go.
After you. Looks good. Jeez. They're giving me a facsimile of a person to shoot at. I think that is a nice touch. Just like on the police shows.
Yeah, this is a little guy. I suppose he's supposed to be a criminal or something. But
What letters and numbers mean? That's just so you can tell us that you hit a K5D2 instead of I hit him in the heart, sort of thing?
I guess so. I'm not exactly sure. I think these have to do with scoring and things like that. Like if you've got a competition criminal shoot.
What do you get the most points for?
There.
Okay.
I guess that's like triple letter score or something. So aim down that way. Have a good firm grip there.
Okay.
And this is your safety. So take that off whenever you're ready. And
Like this?
however you're comfortable, however you're supporting it.
Okay. How do I pop down the safety, this thing? Pop down that? Okay. All right. So the safety's off. And I get this motherfucker right at the 5X. Ow! How'd I do? All right. So I was aiming for this. So I think the first one was probably...
I think these two, I think, are mine.
Oh,
Or
okay.
maybe, this is definitely yours here.
Okay. So I hit him 3 times out of 5?
Yeah, you hit him 3 times out of 5, maybe even 4 times. I'm not sure if that's right or not.
Oh my God. So a total amateur like me, who recoils at the sight of a gun, shot a man at, what, 50 feet? And badly injured him or killed him 4 times out of 5.
Yeah.
The thing I think I remember most about the accounts that I read wasn't so much like the way he shot the kids in the playground, the grade school playground, or like the way they described the kids going down and like the blood pooling, the small of their back, kind of like welling up, not like spurting, but just like a well, or even the way they had described how his like head came apart, at the end. That was interesting. But what I remember most, oddly enough, considering that I knew Michael, and he was always a very, he was something very strong and really pretty frightening about the guy, but not. This line just, in relationship to how I know him, I couldn't see it, but it stuck in my head. And the reporter said, and this was, the exact phrase. He said, when the shooting stopped, he stuck the barrel in his own mouth.
You like to shoot?
Yeah, I shoot a lot.
Yeah?
I enjoy it.
Come out here in the range a lot to shoot?
Well, in the mornings, I'll shoot once in a while before we start work if I have time. Or on my day off, I come up and shoot. Or, after work, if I get off early, I'll go shoot a few rounds.
Mm-hmm. How'd you get started on that?
My dad started me. I was about 14. We started shooting. And,
You went out to the range, or did you go hunting, or?
We went out in somebody's backyard.
Yeah?
And it was private property way out in the stick, so it wasn't like we're hurting nobody. We went out shooting some 7-Up bottles. And ever since then, I just started liking it.
Mm-hmm.
So, it was fun. It's a fun sport.
Why do you think you have more women these days?
I don't know. I think it's probably for home protection for themselves. They feel better, and there's a lot of there in for the sport. They like to shoot. They come in with their husbands. They shoot with their husbands. We have Ladies' Day on Wednesdays, and ladies shoot free all day on Wednesday. And basically, a lot of people like it for sport and enjoyment.
Mm-hmm. Do you own a gun?
Oh yeah, several.
You keep them in your home?
Yeah. Right.
Stuff like that. Do you keep them for home defense?
Yeah, I keep a couple of them loaded in the house, and like naturally, everybody does. I would imagine.
once you learn how to use the weapon safely, it's no more dangerous than a knife or, you know, a long stick for that matter. I mean, a lot more people die every year of knife wounds and of beatings from baseball bats than gunshots every year.
Is that right?
Yeah. It's not guns that kill people. It's people wanting to kill somebody is what it is. And if you don't have a gun, you're going to use a knife. If you don't have a knife, you're going to use a stick. It has nothing to do with guns. It's the person wanting to do it.
I feel like if if you're a law-abiding citizen and it's in the amendment that you have the right to bear and own and bear arms, and I think you should have them as long as you know how to use them and you're not and you're not going out robbing banks and things, with them.
If we didn't have arms, only the bad guys would, and therefore we'd always be unfair. Well, Portland, Oregon, they just issued 2,200 concealed permits now this year. Last year they issued 9. Their crime rate has dropped 33% in 6 months. Burglars are scared. Your thieves are scared now because they don't know who has a gun or not. Their law-abiding citizens aren't using them, obviously, because the crime rate has dropped 33%. And, if you're a criminal, would you want to go rob somebody or rape somebody knowing that they might be one of those 2,200 people that are carrying a gun with them?
When I think about, him up there on the roof, a little grade school across the street playground, little kids skipping around, and I can just see him. I can just see him up there, popping those little kids, can't make the noise. Maybe more like I don't know. Making this noise, that's too quiet, But he's up there and he's popping these kids off, and I don't know what the new city had, like an AK or something. I don't know, 47, whatever he had. There we go. He's popping these kids off, and they're falling. To my mind, knowing this guy, he's got to be having the time of his fucking life. I mean, this has got to be like his moment, And I couldn't understand that he'd kill himself. I mean, he popped them off or whatever, and then he kills himself. I don't know. It's very weird to me. I mean, maybe that's it. Maybe this was the moment of his life, and maybe he was getting off on it, and I figured, wait, I'm not going to do better than this. Kind of like, some people got their car and their home and their family, and he's like, not going to do better than this. Very weird. Very weird. That was Michael.